Hello and welcome to What Now, the news show where we try to figure out what the hell is going on in Washington this week. I'm your host, Emily Callahan. The impeachment inquiry has really begun to heat up since the resolution passed the House last week. House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff has announced that 3 witnesses will be questioned publicly this week. U.S. diplomat William Taylor and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent are scheduled to testify on Wednesday the 13th, and former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine Marie Yovanovitch will testify on Friday the 15th. These will be the first public hearings, which Schiff says will allow, quote, the American people to evaluate the witnesses for themselves and make their own determinations about the credibility, end quote. Although Trump has been claiming that impeachment is not affecting him, the midterm elections on Tuesday raised some concerns for the GOP. Both houses of the Virginia legislature turned blue, despite the Democratic governor. This has not happened for the Democrats since 1993, but has happened twice for the Republican Party in Virginia since then. Kentucky's gubernatorial race was also decided in the Democrats' favor. While these elections don't directly impact the president's impeachment inquiry, they do demonstrate that Republican voters haven't been fired up by the impeachment. If anything, swing voters have gone blue. Even so, the evidence against Trump seems to be growing, not shrinking. Bill Taylor's testimony has now been released to the public, and the transcription confirms NBC's October report that the diplomat clearly stated the Ukrainian military aid was linked to the Ukrainian government opening investigations into the Bidens. Taylor, like many other officials, noted Giuliani's unusual role in the proceedings and mentioned discomfort at the irregularity of a non-government official's heavy involvement. These ideas will likely be repeated and reaffirmed in Taylor's public testimony on Wednesday. But if you thought that was all that was happening in the courts, you're in for a surprise. Over the summer, the president filed a lawsuit against the House Ways and Means Committee to block access to his tax returns. On Monday, a federal judge tossed out the case because he claimed the D.C. court did not have the jurisdiction. While this does not leave the possibility of the president suing in New York open, unless the House Ways and Means Committee actually takes action to attempt to obtain the returns, the president has no grounds in D.C. The Supreme Court, too, saw some pretty big action this week. On Tuesday, the legality of the termination of the DACA program was argued. Hundreds of DACA supporters rallied outside the court building, but the arguments heard inside did not show a clear leaning one way or the other. The 4 conservative justices appeared to be in favor of allowing the program to end, while the 4 liberal justices seemed opposed, with Chief Justice Roberts' opinion somewhat unclear. The decision will not likely be released until the spring. Now, a brief note on one former president before we close out. President Jimmy Carter was admitted to Emory University Hospital in Atlanta Monday night for a medical procedure to relieve pressure on his brain caused by his recent falls. The procedure took place Tuesday morning and did not cause any complications, but he will remain in the hospital for observation. Well, thanks to all of y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you next week on What Now? I'm your host, Emily Callahan.